Good afternoon, everyone. Bear with me, I'm fighting a cold today, so I have the water with me just in case. This topic is called Regional Service Provider Showcase. So you might have first thought, well, you're going to hear us talk about, you might think of member services that our organizations provide. But that's really not what it's about. You know, in fact, just as your organizations go through strategic planning, our organizations do. And we're actually just wrapped up our process. And just like with your companies, you might talk about a life cycle, and you might talk about product development. But when we think about product development at our organization, we don't think of product development for us as a chamber. For us, our product is our community. And there's so many ways that my peers and I work together to make sure that we're focused on that product and the product life cycle, and to make sure that we can be as competitive as possible. How many of you in the room ever saw the Steve Martin, John Candy movie, Planes, Trains, Automobiles? Okay, the rest of you need to rent it this weekend because it is a very funny movie. And in a funny fashion, they really talk about the importance of transportation infrastructure, when it doesn't operate efficiently and effectively, how everything can fall apart. And that's what I'm going to spend a couple of minutes today talking about, how our organization, meaning not just the chamber that I'm with, but my partners and I work together on our transportation infrastructure. You know, you think about our region, and you know, about 400 years ago we were settled. And we were settled because how was that ease of access? It was something that was called the Hudson and the Mohawk. That's what brought people here. And then we had an Erie Canal, and then we had an interstate highway, and it connected us to other markets, enabled people to live here, and enabled commerce to happen. But while all those modes of transportation are still important, we realize today more than ever, so many of you in the room today, you don't just do business in the capital region, you don't just do business in the Northeast or in North America, but you do it across the globe. So for us, we realize the importance of our airport. And we have had an increased focus the last couple of years on issues related to the airport. In many cases, it's because some of you in this very room have reached out to us to provide feedback, also known as complaints, about our airport. And so we really tried to, the expression about peel the onion, to look back and say, what's the problem? What are the challenges that we have? And we really have been doing it in conjunction with John O'Donnell, the CEO of the Albany International Airport, really working collectively on this endeavor. And we started by doing a survey, and many of you in this room, again, probably participated in. And we did focus groups. We tried to address issues that in the airline industry they call leakage, when you choose to go to another airport. So in our case, it could be JFK, LaGuardia, Newark, Hartford. The number of folks who go to Boston is surprising to catch flights. But then we tried to figure out why. And for the leisure traveler, the answer is almost always because of money. That if they're going to have a family of 4 go on vacation and they can save $75 a ticket, they're going to drive somewhere. But what we found out from the business customer, that it was very, very rare that they went out to another airport because of price, because they realized their time is worth something. But it was because of connections, that they were going to have to change planes too many times, they're going to have too many layovers, or they were going to do international travel, and if they missed that one flight, all of their travel plans were messed up. So we said, well, how do we really start to address these issues? We found out through John at the airport that there's a FAA grant for communities that want to work together to market their airport, look at new routes. We applied for this grant. The airport had done so in the past on their own, was not successful. Instead, they applied with the airport and us as 5 partners with them, and they received that grant. So they got federal money. There are also a number of local business folks who contributed cash contributions as well as pledges from our local media as we get these flights to then be able to promote the flights. cut to the chase, targeted two key hub airports, not because everyone's going to fly to those airports, but because where you can fly to from those airports. Ideally, we would love to add Houston and Denver as airports. We'd love to have more flights into JFK. The problem there is obviously air traffic related. We also have to look at the issue of the cost of some of our flights. The other thing that we've learned is that industry is very difficult. And the job of running the airport, we understand it better. And that, there's so many issues in the cost of fuel, but I want you to know that each of our organizations continue to work to press for those flights to the right markets at the right price, because we realize it's critically important to the long-term growth of the capital region. The other piece related, okay, that's flights. The other piece goes to Chuck's whole introduction with the wheel and the spoke. Well, part of it is we do have potholes on occasion. We have to make sure that we maintain our roads. And one of our roads that's right adjacent to our airport, of course, is the Northway. And you look at the numbers of the exits, and we all know there's no exit 3. And there hasn't been an exit 3 for 60 years. And I think we realize that even if we try to be optimists, there's probably never going to be an exit 3. But there could be a really enhanced exit 4 that accomplishes a lot of the goals what an exit 3 would be. And so we're very much leading advocates for an enhanced exit 4, which would provide us direct access from the Northway to the Albany International Airport. And I think that we know, if you think of any airport that you have flown to in the country, even Stewart Airport, you can go from a highway right to the airport. You can't do it here. We have a great terminal, and it presents the right image. But when you have to go down a cow pasture to get there from a highway, it doesn't present the right image. Certain times of the day, we have traffic onto the Northway. We have traffic that's backed up on Albany Shaker Road. It's an issue of public safety as well. Linda spoke about the regional development councils. The airport, with support from all of our organizations, has applied for some funding through this round. We hope that next Wednesday that'll happen and that progress can be a reality. So when you think of our organizations and think of us as service providers, it's much more than the events that you might attend at our organizations. It's what we do day in and day out to make sure that those issues in the community that are happening 5 years or 10 years from now, that we're focused on them to make sure that we eliminate any obstacles to our long-term growth. Thank you.